Hello, my good friends. Have you ever been electrocuted? And I'm not talking about sticking your finger in a light socket as a child and getting a little zap. I'm talking about, have you ever been almost electrocuted to motherfucking death? Well, I have, and here's the story. When I was a kid, I played in a local reggae band. We did a lot of gigs. But the real point of this story is, we had a drummer for a little while that lived in a town called Freehold, not far from us. Now, Freehold is mostly known for being the birthplace and the town where Bruce Springsteen grew up. But more importantly to this story, it's an old colonial town, which means most of the houses in that town are 200 or so years old. And I think the electrical wiring is about the same age. Here's what happened. We had been jamming with a drummer for a while, great jazz cat, and we had been rehearsing at his house regularly. The electrical wiring in this house apparently was very old and out of date. Since I sang and played guitar in the band, I had a mic stand in front of me with a mic, and I had my Les Paul guitar. As it was, I stepped up to the microphone stand to sing a song, and I grabbed a hold of the microphone with my left hand to stable it. The second I touched the microphone stand, my hand locked and gripped on it, and the fucking mic stand just went pow and stuck to my chest. And now my arm, my left hand that has the microphone stand is stuck to my chest like this, and my arm is stuck to my body like this with the guitar, and I literally can't move, and I just started frying, man. I could feel the electricity just going right through my body. God knows what it did to my little 17-year-old heart, but I was cooking, man, cooking. And I turned to the nearest guy next to me in the room and said, "Shut it off, shut it off." And I could feel every muscle in my body locking up to the point where it was just the most intense feeling, and it hurt. It hurt like a motherfucker. I turned to the first guy and said, "Turn it off, turn it off." The drummer looked at me like I was crazy, so I turned to the bass player and said, "Turn it off, turn it off." And obviously I'm gyrating and shaking. They must have known I was getting fucking electrocuted, but no one in the room wanted to fucking help me. Nobody tried to help me, man. I mean, to be fair, they couldn't touch me. When I tried to stagger towards the one guy, he backed up whoa, whoa, whoa. He didn't want to have nothing to fucking do with it, and all the other guys in the room did the same thing. One guy, thank God, one guy in the room tried to use his brain and think, I gotta help this guy. This kid's getting fried to death, and I gotta do something. So he stepped up to me, and as I was frying, I was going through this process in my mind of, these motherfuckers are just gonna let me die right now. And that whole cliche thing you hear about when you know you're about to die and your brain goes into this weird peaceful mode where you accept it. I actually went to that fucking place, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to die here right now today. So what I'm going to do right now is just let myself, because my knees were starting to buckle from the electricity. So I made a deal with myself saying, I'm just going to let myself fall down to the floor and fry. It can't hurt much more than it is right now, and I give up. But thank God my one Rasta brethren, the only one, and I'll never forget this, in the room that tried to help me. He comes at me like a football player, man. We're doing a dance here. He can't touch me, but he's trying to figure out a way he can help me. And finally, at the last second, he looks down at the guitar cable and pulls the guitar cable out of the Les Paul, and the Les Paul dropped off my chest, and the mic dropped out of my hand, and I just dropped down to my fucking knees, man. I was done, fried. Took me probably about 30 seconds to a minute and a half to regain my senses and recover. And when I did, I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this situation. I'm done rehearsing in this weird fucking ancient colonial house. I'm done with this fucking band, because I'm going to tell you what happened. After I got electrocuted, I went outside and I was explaining to the other guitar player. I said, you know, I'm going to go home and just kind of rest it off for the rest of the night. And what happened was, one preface I got to tell you, I was the youngest guy in this band. I was 17. The next youngest dude was 40-something. So it was me, the kid, and these old men that would just, I was the only American, and they were all West Indian. So you can imagine how that was going for me. I was just getting yelled at constantly by motherfuckers. So after I got electrocuted, I'm standing out front deciding I'm just going to go home and take a rest. And the bass player comes out and starts yelling at me about, "You're leaving?" And I'm like, motherfucker, did you not just see what fucking happened to me in there, dude? I just got electrocuted to death, dog, and you didn't try to do shit to help me. Don't think I'm ever going to forget this, I told him. He said, man, the reason this happened to you, back then I was thin, and I was a very wiry, thin young man. And the guy looked me right in the eye and goes, this happens to you because you don't eat enough, man. You need to go eat yourself a sandwich, man. And I said, you know what, motherfucker? I just got electrocuted. Fuck you and fuck this band. And that was the day I quit my first reggae band as a kid. The very next weekend I left to Santa Cruz, California, and had one of the best summers of my life. But what the impetus that set it off and that really put it concrete in my mind that I was done with this situation was getting electrocuted almost to death. Sometimes it takes a real event to change your mind about something, and this is what happened to me. I got electrocuted so bad it shocked my brain and I quit the band that I was playing in. I never forgot my one brethren though that saved my life that day, and he passed away a few years after that, but I love him dearly to this day and I'll never forget him. That's the truth and that's my story. It's your boy Dubby. I'll see you guys next time with a cool story. Thank you guys for all your support and the encouragement with these stories, and I promise to keep them coming. I love you.